The third episode of House of the Dragon is finally here, cutting straight to the action. It skips the intro entirely, showing Daemon standing right in front of the whole Hightower army, demanding to have a word with Ormond. But just a few seconds later, we realize that Daemon hasn't come to this meeting alone. Behind him, 3 dragons stand ready to attack if any of the soldiers make a single suspicious move. Once Ormond is finally ready to have a conversation with him, Daemon reveals that the war is over, his allies have fled, and Rhaenyra is already sitting on the Iron Throne. Ormond had heard some rumors, but still isn't fully convinced of the outcome, though Daemon assures him it is true and that he only needs to bend the knee and swear loyalty to the new queen. After that, he can return to Old Town to live out their lives in peace. When Ormond asks what would happen if he is willing to fight, Daemon reveals that his uncle has already met his end for his actions. The queen herself cut off his head as her very first official act upon wearing the crown. Even though Ormond would love to engage in battle and try to kill 3 dragons, he has to think about the men behind him, who are completely terrified, and decides to drop to one knee and swear loyalty to the new queen. After Ormond kneels and swears allegiance, Daemon allows them to return home, but he has just one final request. He wants them to hand over Daemon, Alicent's 4th child, as it would be too big of an oversight to let one of Alicent's sons roam around out there and not be under his care at the castle, where he can't harm anyone. With no other choice, Ormond has to send for the boy and hands him over to the Targaryens, his true family. And finally, after all this time, we get to see the face of little Daemon. After that, the episode shifts its focus directly to Rhaenyra, who, after so much bloodshed, finally finds herself in the room that once belonged to her father, where she spent a large part of her childhood and has many nostalgic memories come rushing back all at once. Daemon stands before her, delivering the good news. Ormond accepted their surrender and swore loyalty to her. On top of that, they now have Daemon, the little prince, under their control. However, Daemon tells her they should have burned them all to ashes, but Rhaenyra is not willing to rule the way they did, choosing instead to rule as her father taught her. A few seconds later, they bring Daemon in so she can meet him, but the moment she looks at him, she floods him with questions. She asks what he knows about Ormond's movements, or if he ever spoke with Aegon, but the boy is completely terrified, or at least that is how it seems, since he doesn't say a single word. Because of this, she orders him taken to a secure room that he won't be allowed to leave until he becomes a bit more cooperative. As soon as the boy is taken away, Daemon tells her that the little prince could be a future claimant to the throne, and there is no other choice. She will have to kill him. His young age and his innocence do not matter. The boy must die simply for carrying his parents' blood. Not far from there, a pretty heated argument is taking place, where Corlys finds out that the castle treasury was completely looted, and the crown doesn't have a single gold coin left to cover the expenses of their new reign. Orwyle tells them it was Tyland Lannister. He was in charge of the entire operation that took every single gold coin from the treasury. However, he couldn't gather any information because they didn't trust him. Now they are facing a highly serious problem, as all the gold they have back on Dragonstone will only last them 2 weeks to maintain the 7 kingdoms, and that is definitely not enough time. The second piece of bad news today is that Corlys confirmed Tyland is dead. He didn't survive the Battle of the Gullet. Orwyle mentions that if he told anyone where he hid the gold, it was Lord Jasper, the Iron Rod, the man Daemon beheaded in the previous episode for trying to cross the line with the former queen. The first thing Rhaenyra wants to do is organize her coronation. She wants to erase from people's minds the illegitimacy of the reign they were subjected to, and declare that she has finally arrived to lead a clean, pure reign, as it always should have been, but without gold. That is just not possible. On top of that, the pirates who survived the Battle of the Gullet are raiding nearby villages, slaughtering people, and demanding ransoms they cannot afford to pay. As if that weren't enough, the common people are starving, and the entire city is plagued by rats, a public health problem that grows worse with each passing day. A few seconds later, Mysaria arrives with even more stacked problems. The granaries are empty, corn reserves are low, and the fields lie fallow, meaning they won't be ready for a new harvest for a long time. Overwhelmed by all these issues, Rhaenyra doesn't have a single clear order to give. They can't trade with other distant islands because they lack enough men to protect the merchant ships, and sending a dragon as an escort would be far too risky. At that moment, Rhaenyra orders them to send ravens to all the great houses, so they send their annual tribute immediately and handle their own security. After that, Corlys asks if he should immediately send a ship for the royal council members she left behind on Dragonstone. But Rhaenyra is sick of them. They have betrayed her on more than one occasion, not with actions, but with their silence. She is fully determined to assemble a brand new council with new members who are completely loyal and trust her decisions implicitly. Then she tries to get some information out of Orwyle regarding the whereabouts of Aemond and Aegon, but he tells her that during the days leading up to his disappearance, he was highly suspicious and barely said a word. As for Aemond, the last time he was seen, he was flying his dragon toward Harrenhal, and Rhaenyra gives the direct order to find him, offering the massive castle of Harrenhal itself as a reward for anyone who assassinates the one-eyed king once and for all. At that exact moment, a rat pops out and gives the queen a good scare. Orwyle reminds her that Aegon had ordered all the rat catchers in the city to be hanged after one of them turned out to be the key to murdering his young son. The moment she leaves the room, Sir Luther approaches her to say that while he truly appreciates providing her personal security, that is currently not the job of the Gold Cloaks. He adds she should start picking new candidates for the Kingsguard, since he needs to return soon to his regular duties of keeping the city safe. However, for the time being, Rhaenyra has no one else she can trust, and she asks him to be a little more patient and handle the matter with Daemon. He will know how to choose reliable men for the new Kingsguard. A few seconds later, a bunch of staff members approach to tell her about even more domestic problems that the castle is currently experiencing. There are barely any candles or wine left, and the maids are on the verge of going on a total strike. Realizing they are overwhelming the queen, Sir Luther firmly tells them to get out. There will be plenty of time in the coming days to settle the matter of the wine and candles. He even threatens to throw every single one of them into a dark cell for 3 whole days if they are still there when the doors open. Back with Rhaenyra, she walks straight to Alicent's room to ask her where the gold is, but she has no idea. She never noticed it was taken, much less saw Tyland Lannister at the castle. By the time she returned from Dragonstone, Aegon had already vanished, and surely the gold was gone too, so she cannot come asking for that kind of confidential information from them, especially after they risked so much just so she could win back the throne once and for all. Alicent tells her that nobody outside the castle knows what Aegon actually looks like. After his horrific burns, he is completely unrecognizable, so she can officially declare him dead. If he ever returns, she can firmly claim that he is just a low-life imposter, since he looks nothing like the man he used to be. As for the gold, she could have asked her father, but it turns out she had him beheaded without asking a single question. Or did she already forget that they ran straight into his head the last time they saw each other? Now, regarding the second part of the deal, the one where they would be totally free to leave with enough to live out their lives in peace, they will have to postpone it indefinitely until Aemond shows up. So, for now, they are prisoners of war. They won't be allowed to leave their room without an armed escort. Just as she steps out of Alicent's room, she notices that the preparations for her new reign are getting underway. The staff members are throwing away all of the Green's belongings, as well as all the insignia of House Hightower. On top of that, as she walks through the castle hallways, she catches a vision of her late son, but then it turns out it's just a boy who shares a slight physical resemblance, and her tired mind is playing nasty tricks on her. For her next order, Rhaenyra tells Mysaria to thoroughly interrogate the staff. Anyone among them who still holds even a slight sense of loyalty to the Hightowers must be replaced from their duties immediately. That same afternoon, Rhaenyra meets with the High Septon and tells him that, although her official coronation is a bit delayed, she wishes to be anointed by him as the rightful queen of the throne. However, not long ago, he conducted an identical ceremony for Aegon, whose body has not yet been found, and until his actual death is verified, another sacred ceremony cannot be performed. Although at this moment Rhaenyra would thoroughly enjoy getting rid of him completely, she knows it is not wise to make an enemy of the faith. For the starving commoners outside these walls, faith is the only thing that comforts them at night, and it would be highly problematic if word got out that the new queen is an enemy of religion. Tonight, Lord Corlys invites her to a private dinner to make a request that is simple enough for her right now, but one she doesn't feel entirely comfortable with. He has officially named Alan as his sole heir, and he fully intends for both him and Adam to carry his last name and his title of Lord. Everything that happened on this long day is just too much for Rhaenyra to sleep in peace, so when night falls and nobody is watching her, she finds her way to Daemon's bed to get some comfort in a situation that feels completely overwhelming for the time being. The next morning, the queen gets ready for her public audiences with the poor people of the city, who have many requests, and she is willing to patiently listen to every single one of them. But the ceremony gets unexpectedly delayed since she starts her monthly bleeding, and that is a biological issue they never had with the previous kings. Feeling unwell, and with far too many complaints to hear, Lord Corlys has to step in to give her his wise advice, as she isn't fully familiar with the land around her. On top of that, the poor complain that the dragons are completely hogging the sheep supply, and the wool is going to waste. To ensure the animals get fully shorn before being slaughtered, a financial investment is required, and if she falters before them, she might accidentally reveal the major secret that the royal coffers are completely empty and that the crown was looted. The next petition comes from a woman named Sylvia, who has always loyally supported her, and she says that a large part of the famine the common people are suffering through comes directly from the rich, who have cornered the entire market and have been hoarding all the food, leaving nothing but cheap leftovers for the rest of the population. And that is an urgent matter that Rhaenyra promises to deal with immediately. Once the petitions end, Rhaenyra wants to know if they have already discovered who the rider of Sheepstealer is, the wild dragon that caused the death of her son, as she wants revenge. On top of that, she hasn't received any news about Aemond, since nobody has seen him lately, and he seems to have completely vanished after the battle at Harrenhal. At that moment, they are interrupted by an urgent administrative matter, since their dragon riders deserve to have their rightful titles. Ulf chooses the seat of Driftmark and ends up being named a Lord of the Realm. But when it's Adam's turn, Rhaenyra does not grant him the Velaryon last name, as she still doesn't agree with Lord Corlys's request. Right after naming the dragon seeds as knights, there remains the pending issue of what they were originally promised: houses, dowries, and a decent life with their wives. But at this moment, when the crown is completely bankrupt, Rhaenyra asks them for patience while they establish their new responsibilities. That night, completely overwhelmed by all the petitions and problems existing not just in the castle, but also across the city, Rhaenyra agrees to meet with Alicent, who asks her for one last personal favor. She wants her father's remains sent back to Old Town, where they can be properly buried alongside his wife, and Rhaenyra grants her request in exchange for a piece of their sincere advice. She wants to know how she managed to bear the heavy burden of ruling the city and keeping all of this afloat, with so many difficult decisions to make in a single day. Alicent confesses to her that one cannot be the ruler of the Seven Kingdoms and of a massive castle and still remain the exact same person. There are tough choices to make, and the slightest mistake costs human lives. Alicent reminds her that her father might have ruled a peaceful world that he built himself, but they are no longer living in that world, and an iron fist is absolutely necessary. Following that harsh advice, Rhaenyra invites the nobles to a very special banquet that same night, which everyone is thrilled to attend to swear their eternal loyalty. However, when the food is served, it is revealed that every single wealthy person in the city has a roasted rat sitting right in front of them. The very same disgusting food the poor have been eating lately, since they have hoarded every bite of decent food with their money, leaving thousands to starve to death. Once the banquet before them is revealed, Rhaenyra informs them that at this very moment, her guards are entering their homes and seizing all the hoarded food to distribute it effectively among the poor. Anyone among them who tries to oppose this direct order or attempts to halt the actions of her guards will be immediately arrested and charged with treason. That night, while watching the poor receive a decent bite of food, Daemon tries to convince his wife that their ancestor conquered the world with just 3 dragons. She has 6 at her full disposal, which means they can conquer much more. They can fly to Dorne and take all the gold they want. They can conquer Essos, and from there, move on to the free cities. There is not a single inch of land in this world that does not belong to them with 6 dragons. However, she is far too focused on ruling a single castle. He wants her to expand her mind and cast her gaze far beyond these stone walls. He wants Valyria to rise from the ashes and for the world to see them as true gods once again. But she asks him to be patient. The 7 kingdoms are enough for now. Later on, they will look toward the horizon together. At that moment, Daemon decides to leave and travel to the Vale to collect in gold from the men they failed to send. It is gold they urgently need, but before leaving, he firmly reminds her that she still needs to kill Daemon. Every breath the boy takes is a direct threat to her throne. The next morning, the common people are happy, and Mysaria tells her to completely forget about the Septon's approval. Having the people's approval is much better, and they are thrilled with her recent actions. which speaks volumes about her future reign. That morning, Rhaenyra delivers an emotional speech from the marketplace, demonstrating that she is here to be an equal and a merciful queen who cares about every single one of them, relieving the hunger they have been enduring and promising that soon there will be much more for everyone. With every loaf of bread she hands out to the people, she receives cheers and heartfelt applause, but this is only a temporary fix to their problems. If the crown doesn't start producing, the hunger will return, and this time she won't have anything left to take from the nobles, who are already upset by her actions from the night before. As soon as she returns to the castle, Corlys is waiting for her impatiently to discuss a matter that bothers him quite a bit. The fact that she named Adam of Hull and did not grant him his last name is not what they agreed upon. Rhaenyra tells him she knows all too well about the rumors that have plagued her children, and since her reign is just beginning, she cannot legitimize infidelity that way, but Corlys snaps. He has given everything he has to her service, the lives of his men and the walls of his own castle, which are now in flames and ruins, all so she could sit on the Iron Throne. The only thing he asked for in return was to legitimize his bastard sons. To place her sword upon his shoulders and grant him a last name, he has proudly protected his entire life, one that will secure a prosperous future for his house, which still needs to be completely rebuilt. But Rhaenyra refuses to give him that just because she wants to appear to the realm as something she really isn't. Corlys's rage makes him say dangerous things for which his own brother lost his head in the past. Accusing Rhaenyra's children of being bastards is punishable directly by death, and Sir Luther stands more than ready to draw his sword and carry out the sentence. But Rhaenyra stops him in his tracks, even though every fiber of her being tells her that Lord Corlys must be punished for his harsh words. But that is a complex matter they will have to deal with later, as she wants to speak directly with Alicent and reveals to her that she has her son Daemon right here in the stronghold. They have a highly important decision to make, since, as Viserys' youngest son, she knows perfectly well that he can lay claim to the throne, and that is not something she is willing to permit under any circumstances. So, option 1, her son dies immediately, or option 2, he joins the Night's Watch and renounces his noble title to live in the distant north, where he won't pose any real threat to the current reign. Her son will take the black, join the Night's Watch, and serve there for the rest of his life, where he won't be allowed to marry or have children of his own, just as the strict rules of the Watchmen dictate. Upon hearing this, Alicent begs her to please let her see him one last time, so Rhaenyra arranges a private meeting. However, when Alicent steps into the designated room, it only takes her 2 seconds of staring at the boy's face to realize that this is not Daemon, and that the queen has been completely fooled. And that's not all. The imposter standing before them has been perfectly manipulated to pass himself off as the little prince, and his hair has been dyed a platinum white color to make him look like a true Targaryen. All on direct orders from Ormond, who threatened to murder the boy's biological mother if he didn't faithfully obey him in this dangerous ploy. Rhaenyra notices the blatant deception right away. Alicent's expression doesn't reflect that of a mother seeing her own son, and she forces the boy to confess everything. Because of this, they now have to urgently track down Ormond to uncover his true intentions and what exactly he is planning, since at the beginning of the episode, we could see he was highly reluctant to show his true loyalty to the new queen, and even had the immense curiosity to find out what would happen if they chose to fight. The moment she leaves the room to send a messenger raven, the queen is hurried toward the main gate, where a dragon keeper who escaped the oppressive Hightower forces has traveled from very far away just to speak with her. While in the background, we can clearly see that all the green banners belonging to that enemy house are being burned completely to ashes. The old man reveals to the queen that Lord Ormond and his military forces have completely seized the town of Tumbleton, holding all of its inhabitants as unarmed hostages. And not only that, they are spreading rapidly throughout the region, and there are already many casualties piling up. Rhaenyra immediately orders them to bring her own dragon to burn them all, but the old man warns her that Ormond's soldiers are completely mixed in with innocent civilians, so if she does that, many mothers and children will tragically die, people who are only hoping for mercy and for someone brave to rescue them from this nightmare. Rhaenyra knows very well that her army is vast and her battle power is unmatched, so she has absolutely no idea what Ormond is planning with this risky move. While the colors of his house burn intensely in the background, the episode comes to its definitive end, leaving the true intentions of this relentless new enemy of the crown shrouded in complete mystery.